Well, this is GamePoints, our weekly get-together where we talk about the previous weeks in gaming news. I am your host, Stephen Brown, currently suffering from massive disappointment from what we just saw there. Joining me today are Sean Brown and David Smith. Say hey, guys.
Hey.
For those of you joining and wondering what you just saw, that was the new Silent Hill from Konami, the pachinko machine Silent Hill. Thoughts, gentlemen?
God, I fucking hate Konami.
I think my pull from that whiskey bottle explains it all.
Fair enough.
It's just like the biggest slap in the face.
It's horrible. Now, what's worse, what you just saw or the erotic violence Castlevania one?
You know,
I mean, I like both of those words at least.
It's true. Now, let me ask you this. What's worse? That or Batman?
That, by far. Batman's at least incompetent, so this is just blatant disrespect.
Yeah.
At least one of these machines is gonna... I was gonna say at least one of these machines is gonna make money eventually.
Well...
I mean, now I'm mad and entertained.
Alright, enough. We're done. Let's... Thanks for joining GamePoints. This has been... We're out of here. But yes, this is GamePoints. If you're watching us live, appreciate it. If you're watching us on YouTube, feel free to comment down below. Live, feel free to comment and chat. Tonight, we're going to talk about some Gamescom news. We're going to talk about World of Warcraft's new expansion. We got some League stuff set up because the League finally kicked back in full swing. But first, let's go ahead and get right into the Microsoft conference of last week. And we're going to go ahead and start off with Quantum Break, which looks way better than it used to.
Yeah.
Looks pretty dope.
Even from the last trailer we saw was, like, a huge difference. That was only a few months ago.
Now, for those who don't know, Quantum Break is Remedy's new game coming out. Remedy are the same guys that did the first two Max Paynes and Alan Wake. This was announced a while ago, Xbox exclusive. They had some weird TV tie-in thing to it, and it disappeared. It just kind of went away for a couple months. No one really heard anything about it. And it feels like the reason why no one heard about it is because they completely recast the entire thing. Now, in the game, it stars Shawn Ashmore, who's known from The Following and X-Men as Iceman, and Aidan Gillian, how do you pronounce his last name?
Gillian?
Anyways, you guys know him as Littlefinger from Game of Thrones as the bad guy.
Oh, you mean the bad guy from Shanghai Knights?
Yeah, that one.
That's
I mean the CIA agent at the beginning of The Dark Knight Returns.
Damn.
I mean that dude from that show that everyone really likes.
Yeah. But anyways, this is probably why it was delayed and recast. It's delayed because it was recast. These people weren't in it until now. The TV bit of it is still in existence. In fact, the game is going to tell the story about the main guy, the hero who you're playing, and the TV show that happens interspersed with that, the game, is going to follow Littlefinger's character. Their names escape me at the moment, which I think is really fucking cool.
Paul and...
Yeah, Paul's...
John?
Paul's the main guy, I think. I don't remember. I don't have that information set up. I can't remember off the top of their head. But this game got completely reworked. It looked all right at first, but now it just looks fantastic. I'm really excited to get behind this.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys think about it, but I think it looks great.
It does look really cool, but is it... Now, the whole thing is we know that it was announced... Wasn't it part of the whole Xbox TV?
The TV show for Quantum Break was they never really got into details about it. There was supposed to be a TV show that went along with it, and then Microsoft dropped the whole Xbox TV thing for the most part.
Yeah,
but this is still
there's still live
Xbox
action in there. Yeah, still Xbox One exclusive. There's still live action bits in there. I think they're going to interweave the show into the game itself.
Yes,
it's kind of fuzzy what they're doing with it.
The way it works, from what I understand, from what I've read from just a billion different articles on this game, is what happens is when you play the main character in the game, that's the good side of the story. And at the end of each episode of the game, much like in Alan Wake, if you ever played that game, made by the same company, I do believe,
yeah, Remedy,
they did episodes. So it was like a TV show, kind of. They're kind of using that incorporation to this game as well. So at the end of each episode, basically, you do the episode, and at the end of it, you become the villain, and you get to choose a way the plot's going to go. And what you choose is going to be the next episode in the TV show, and then you watch that episode, and it corresponds with the game.
Yeah, I have no idea how they're going to work it all together, though. That's what I'm really intrigued by.
Yeah, and the TV
Wasn't that
part's
the
gonna be
entire
the
plan
villain
behind
side of it.
Defiance?
No.
This is going to be far more integrated than that, though. You're not going to have to wait a week for the show to come out. It's all done already, and apparently going to be weaved into the game itself.
Yes. So basically, Defiance worked as the TV show, the TV show basically made the game go in the direction. Yeah. Now this is going to actually be a TV series inside the game. So all the filmings are like already done. It's not going to be like you have to wait, whatever. Like you do the episode, and then there's going to be the way the episodes break off depending on how you choose. So the gameplay is going to be different. Like there's going to be different interactions. So whatever happens in the TV show is how your gameplay is going to affect it, but you choose it. It's not like it's basically all filmed. It's a choose your own adventure game with
game
movies
that goes
in
into
it.
film parts with live action that they pre-recorded.
Yes.
So
It's like they're really
exactly
long
like
full motion
Enter the
video
Matrix.
trailers.
Correct.
But we'll see how it goes. It is coming out April 5th, has a release date, and honestly, I'm really looking forward to it. In fact, this entire Gamescom Microsoft conference was a winner for them. For the first time since having one, I feel like it's worth owning an Xbox. I'm kind of excited to have an Xbox One now.
I'm legit going to buy one for Halo 5 in this game. Like I've decided already.
See
That's happening.
that looks cool, but I think the next thing for me personally looks far cooler.
Absolutely, because what else was shown at their conference was actual footage of Crackdown 3, a game that we haven't seen for a long time, and they showed the tech demo of what's going to look like, and dear God, this could finally be the Red Faction Guerrilla sequel we deserve.
Yeah.
Absolutely destructible.
Amazing.
I'll have a link to an article from IGN down at the bottom there where they have a couple of devs talking about how they're using that. Remember when Xbox One was first announced, they kept talking about the cloud. The cloud is going to be all-knowing. And Titanfall kind of used the cloud gaming a little bit. This is the game that I first seen it actually use it to its full potential, because right now, this is running on, this is alpha footage on one Xbox, but it's using the power of like 14 different Xbox Ones through the cloud to simulate all the buildings and all the shit falling down everywhere. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, they go through in the breakdown, because the video is like 18 minutes long or something like that, but they actually talk about how different parts of the city are all rendered in different parts of the cloud. So like there's a different server running each part, and how when pieces of the environment will break or scatter, they'll actually move across servers in real time.
Yeah. They show how a chunk from the building falls from one server to the other, and it's pretty seamless. It doesn't stutter or anything like that. I was never a fan of Crackdown 1 or 2. They were all right. I respect them for what they are. By the way, I want to say hey to Earl Stoke in chat. Thanks for hosting us, by the way. It was never quite something I enjoyed, but 3, I am sold on. I love the fact that every building... It's like I said, it's Red Faction Guerrilla 2, which is a game I've been waiting for a long time.
My only problem with
the Crackdown games.
No, my only problem with the Crackdown games is it suffered from something that wasn't really their fault. When they first came out, they were part of a sandbox world where everything felt empty. Like it was a sandbox game, but there wasn't too much to the maps, if that makes sense.
I'll
very
agree with
Vice
that.
City.
It was a very I don't want to say barren city because they had a lot of buildings, but there was nothing in it. The only time
nothing happening.
The only time things would appear is when you get close to your mission.
I just thought the game was fun though, in general.
Yeah.
Just kind of dumb, stupid fun, because it was almost like a Saints Row type feel to me, just running around.
I feel like
Sean.
I feel like I had Avatar syndrome, where it was made or hoped for in a world before technology could actually show off its greatness, if that makes sense.
I kind of get what you're getting at. I don't know if you think
they got
that
Advent Rising.
That's probably more fitting.
Yeah. Well, Avatar was written in the 70s by James Cameron. That's why I made that reference.
Fair enough.
But he said he didn't want to make it because the technology wasn't there yet.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Crackdown 3 looks fantastic. Like I said earlier, Microsoft had a great showing, and one of the things that we also haven't seen much of and finally got some recently was Scalebound. And goddamn, Scalebound looked great too. Platinum Games made it. These are the guys who did Bayonetta and Vanquish, and I think they had a hand in Metal Gear Rising, Revengeance, Regicide, Remergence, Replaying, whatever. But this looks great. It strikes me as an RPG Monster Hunter.
That's what I was about to say. I feel like it's going to be a Devil May Cry meets Monster Hunter type game.
It's definitely slower than anything else Platinum Games have done. You're not doing massive flips and combos everywhere. You're just running around like a normal human, although a human with a giant fuck-off dragon, but still a normal human.
which would be
dude,
more the Monster Hunter type way, because it was more calculated than just going and swing your sword around.
Right.
I can think of a game series that I really liked that involves a dude running around that has a dragon. It's called Drakengard. Oh yeah.
This looks a lot better than Drakengard did.
It does. Don't get me wrong. I really like me some Drakengard, but this looks really nice.
They showed off some more gameplay of a little bit more story. Apparently, the kid is from Earth that gets sucked into this other world. Very playful with the dragon, by the way. They have a very joyful relationship. The dragon doesn't actually talk, but he treats it like it's a sentient dog for the most part.
He's going to die.
Yeah, possibly. It looks interesting. You can command a dragon to attack various things. You kind of saw a little bit of that in the trailer. And something else that was announced for this game specifically is that it looks like there's going to be up to at least 4-player co-op. Toward the end of that trailer that was running. Dope. Yeah, toward the end of that trailer he was running, he fights this giant fuck-off boss, and he summons like 3 or 4 other people to come help him, and they all have their own dragons as well. So that could be really interesting looking. I'd be very interested to see how that goes.
But it's not consistent co-op, is it? Or
we don't know.
Summoning people, it's making me think of other games where you just have people show up. Like summoning people in Dark Souls, or what it makes me think of is in, what was it, Resident Evil 5, where you can go into an area. Resident Evil 6, and then other people would join if they're in the same part of the game.
I get a distinct feeling this is going to ape off Monster Hunter really hard, just from what I saw there. I can't say for certain, but that is just the way I feel about this trailer here. And now, I'm totally fine with that.
Is this going to be an Xbox One exclusive, or is it going to be on PC?
I believe this is also Xbox One exclusive.
Another reason to buy an Xbox One.
This is coming out holiday 2016, however. Any final thoughts on Scalebound here?
I'm excited. I'm
looks awesome.
Cautiously optimistic, but it looks very good.
J.S. Williams, the reason why the camera positions are switched is because I'm a moron. Thanks for noticing.
Oh, you were supposed to just fake it and say that this was supposed to be how it was the whole time.
Oh, fair enough. Anyways, moving on to something I'm a little bit less excited for, unfortunately, because I love the premise, is Homefront: The Revolution. And I was just
this to be good.
I was underwhelmed by what I saw, though, unfortunately. Let me go ahead and bring up what I saw. See, now, you're on it's open world, you're on bike. I'll get into the exact details of what this game is, but just watching this here, this looks slow and boring as shit.
Alright, so I don't care about the gameplay, I don't care about this game at all, but the trailer, like the actual CG trailer of the kid giving that speech,
that
was
awesome.
Got my jimmies like
so
all kinds of ruffled. Like,
dude,
that shit gave me fucking
John
wood.
Milanus would be just dancing in his grave if he was dead right now. If this was Red Dawn 3.
That story
was so good. Like,
the cinematic trailer for that game looks amazing. Even if you don't give a shit about Homefront, go watch the cinematic trailer.
Yeah. Made me want to go get a gun and just start shooting out into the sky. Like,
I love everything about this game so far, except the way the gameplay looks, which is a major problem. But yeah, that trailer when he's like, thank you for teaching us what it means to be America.
Homefront had a lot of problems.
A significant amount of problems. Love the premise,
yes.
though. Started off very strong,
premise was
by the
awesome.
way. First 30 minutes were awesome.
Story actually held up fairly well.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a. We already mentioned Red Dawn.
Yes.
Horrible movie, terrible. Like, just everything about the movie is terrible.
The new
but
Red
you
Dawn.
love it.
The old Red Dawn is a fucking classic.
No, the old Red Dawn. I'm talking about the old Red Dawn because there's only one Red Dawn. It's a terrible movie, but you love that movie, and you always will because America, and that's how I feel about this game, dude.
That's why I'm gonna have to play Revolution.
I'm getting this. The good news is I am booked to do a hands-on with Homefront: The Revolution at PAX, so I will be able to personally report back if it's any good or not that Monday.
Okay, so here's what happens. If it's terrible, just don't tell me. Just pretend. You're like, you know what? I think they're going to work some stuff out.
We'll see. But yeah,
dude,
I'm
America.
Able to get a hold of it, so I get a 30-minute thing.
Open bar, dude.
So it's going to be fun.
Dude, I watched that trailer and put on my America shirt that's got explosions and an eagle and a cheeseburger.
But yeah, so far
a wedding could be terrible, but if there's an open bar, it's a good wedding.
So far, the greatest thing I've seen that cinematic trailer, which I'll also link down below if you're watching us on YouTube. But man, just the gameplay though, it is not looking good right now. I hope they can come to some kind of resolution on it. And that game's had a very troubled development, by the way. It was being done by Crytek, and then Crytek stopped paying people. So Deep Silver just took the whole thing off their hands. And then Microsoft conference ended with what surprised the hell out of me. I didn't see this coming at all, and that is Halo Wars 2.
You know what game wasn't that great? Halo Wars 1.
I liked Halo Wars. I thought it was solid.
The story was kind of cool, but like it just, I don't know. RTSs on consoles just never really turn out that great, and that's my real big problem with it. And like, back when it first came out, the story was so convoluted because it's like there's no Spartans, right? There's Spartans here. Well, they're defying the books, blah blah blah. So it kind of like pissed me off at a fundamental level when it came to the actual story of Halo because they kept going back and forth on the books and fucking them up. And that game kind of was a mix between both of them, if you know what I mean. And I just didn't really like the gameplay of it either. If you just watch the trailers, that game looks badass. Like the Spartans in that game are savage, especially at the very end where they're disarming that bomb or putting it up. Excuse me. But
I've got the trailer for it running right now here.
Yeah, I'm down for another Halo Wars game because honestly, 360 Studios.
Well, the 343 isn't doing this. 343 is doing the Halo series proper. This is done by Creative Assembly. Now,
they did the first one, didn't they?
No, Ensemble here. Let me give a little backstory to this because it actually involves our show a little bit here. So the first Halo Wars was announced, and right before it came out, Microsoft said, "Yeah, we're going to stop doing anything with games personally, and Ensemble Studios, we're closing you the second Halo Wars is done." Kind of a kick in the nuts, knowing the second you finish this game, it's over with. So that happened a couple years ago, and I thought Halo Wars was dead. Franchise was dead. But remember 3 or 4 months ago how we saw a job posting for Creative Assembly asking for artists to work on an established franchise for consoles. Now, I was convinced it was Alien Isolation because that's the only Creative Assembly essentially has 2 franchises, the Total War series and Alien Isolation. And the Total War series doesn't translate to console. So I thought this was surefire. This has to be Alien Isolation 2. It's not. Microsoft hired Creative Assembly to do Halo Wars 2, which is just shocking to me.
Now, Creative Assembly is baller as fuck, and like, don't get me wrong. So I'm super biased because there's 2 like game types that I'm really hard on. That's survival horrors and RTSs because they happen to be my 2 favorite genres. So Halo Wars 2. I mean, I'm not saying it was a bad game. I didn't enjoy it because of the Halo story because I actually read the original books and. I got really mad around Halo 2 and Halo 3 for a while, and I blacked out after I punched a random person over and over again. I spent a few years in jail because of it. But so I'm holding back until I actually play the game.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
And that more or less wrapped up the Microsoft conference. EA and Blizzard both have conferences. Nothing really needed to be touched on. Nothing announced was out that came out. You all right there, Sean?
I saw the straight out of Reach.
Yeah, if I was smart, I would have rolled that over earlier, but oh well. I also didn't load the Halo trailer, so I had to do that on the fly.
Nice.
But, yeah, hey,
blood in my skew.
We're not called the best game show post pod. So Peter Dinklage was released in Destiny, replaced in Destiny. I can't even say that right.
Terrible. Just
Horrible.
terrible.
So yeah, the Taken King's coming out, as we all know, right? Destiny's expansion. And during this expansion, they're bringing back Ghost. Ghost has been silent for the most part in the previous 2 mini expansions. What was it? The Dark Below and Prison of Elders one. What's that called? House of Kings?
House of Wolves.
House of Wolves. The Ghost has been silent in both of those because you couldn't get Peter Dinklage back to record voices. So what happened was, instead of just trying to get him to redo it or paying for him to come back and do it over again, they essentially hired Nolan North to voice Ghost from now on. Not only is he voicing Ghost, though, but he is replacing all of Peter Dinklage's dialogue throughout the game.
Dinklage is gone skis.
He is done. This is reported by Game Informer. These are the guys, as far as I can tell, that broke the story. Let me bring up their webpage here. Goodbye, Dinklebot. Destiny recasts its most important character with Nolan North. Do we feel this is a slight against Peter Dinklage at all?
I think it's hilarious.
No, it's just he probably asked for too much money because that dude can pretty much ask for whatever he wants, and they're like, I don't really want to pay you.
And
he didn't do that great job with the first one.
I know a lot of people took some umbrage to like, this is an insult to Peter Dinklage, and I never took it that way though, because
but wasn't Dinklage's entire voice acting performance in this game like horribly received because
we don't know if it was because he sucked or the direction he got sucked or the way they edited it out sucked, but I always felt he was going to get this. I thought this was going to happen to begin with from the get-go, because I was looking at this going, there's no way you're going to get Peter Dinklage back over and over again to do your expansions. You're just going to recast someone else as him later. So I already kind of felt the recast was coming anyways, because that happens all the time in games. What I didn't expect was them to actually just re-record the entire dialogue from it.
Yeah, that's the crazy part, is that it's not only going forward Nolan North, it's they're just getting rid of all the old stuff. If you like the Dinklage voices for some reason, you should probably play a bunch of Destiny right now before they decide to patch him just out of the game.
Destiny, of course, a very polarizing game, as we can even see in chat right now. There are people who love the game and people who hate it, and they're arguing it out right now in chat. I, for one, love the mechanics to it. I think it's a great multiplayer shooter. Story is
That's
kind
the
of
thing.
I care less about it.
Story is kind of shitty, but the mechanics of that game in a first-person shooter, from someone who's played competitive first-person shooters, like actually in MLG, really fucking satisfying.
Yeah.
Like, it's really fucking crisp. The downfall is, in multiplayer, there's different guns you can use from what you actually get, and some guns are way more broken than others. So it's kind of like the more you play, the better you can do a multiplayer, which I know in the competitive...
That's just what happens when you have a PvE reward system that can be used in PvP.
Correct. And when they do tournaments, there's certain guns you can only use, which balances it out. I wish they did that for multiplayer in general. However, it has like the best first-person shooter mechanics I've seen since like Call of Duty 4 and Halo 1.
Let's put it this way. I don't play Titanfall anymore, but I still hop on Destiny about once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, now the downfall, like, I don't want to get into Titanfall because it's a huge tangent, but I feel like if you combine those games together, you'll have the best first-person shooter game of all time.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. And Destiny, when Destiny first came out, I remember saying to myself, I want to see what this game looks like in another 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I think the best days of Destiny are ahead of it still.
I do too. I completely agree. Like I said, like you said, like I feel like by the end of this year, Destiny will be a much bigger game than it is. Like you got to think about it like WoW. So WoW, the vanilla WoW, was good. But Burning Crusade, when it actually hit was when it hit its fucking stride hard. Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King were money in the bank.
Yeah, I'd say Wrath of the Lich King more than Burning Crusade, but yeah, definitely.
Depends if you're into PvP or PvE.
Excuse me.
But yeah.
But yeah, Destiny. I like it. Dinklebot, though, he's gone. He's done. So, good night, sweet Dinklebot. We hardly knew ye. Moving on to other competitive shooters, however, possibly one of the biggest games I'm most excited for this year is Star Wars Battlefront, and they showed off Fighter Squadron mode. Oh, God, did this look great. Let me run this here so you guys can take a look at it. Just this intro right here with all that shit coming at you. That is straight up Jedi right there. Like the final bit of a Return of the Jedi. And I'm excited for it. Now, what they're doing with this is they're doing that, not to keep bringing up Titanfall, but they're doing the Titanfall thing. It's going to be a 10v10 with another 10 AI on each side. So a total of 40 players, quote-unquote, with 20 of them being human and the other 20 being cloud-based AI. What do you guys think about this?
There was another game that did something like that to kind of bolster the numbers in multiplayer.
Yeah, Titanfall did it.
Oh, okay. But it wasn't... It
wasn't I just flying because I mentioned that earlier, sorry.
Whatever. But that was just like random grunts that go down really, really easy, and they had no impact on the fighting. This is more, I'm assuming, the computer chips are going to take the same amount of damage as the human chips.
Well, we'll see when it comes down to it. I mean, they're beta testing all this right now. I'm sure someone's gotten a hold of it. I have not yet, so I don't know if it's the same damage. I know
they did in the original games.
I don't remember the original games having bots. Oh, wait, they did have bots.
No, player versus player, yeah. And bots and player versus player, they take the same amount of damage.
Okay.
Okay.
That's more what I was trying to think of, is something where the AI opponents were actually decent. Because Titanfall, they're a joke.
Yeah, in Titanfall, you use them to farm up kills if you're running behind. That's what you use them for there. But yeah, just another reason to be excited, I think, about Star Wars Battlefront. I think anyone who says it's a Battlefield clone skin is really missing the mark with this game. But only time will tell when it comes out sometime in November. 17th, is that the date?
Regardless of whether or not that game is good or complete shit, it is going to sell like gangbusters.
Very true. I know I'm picking up. Sean, you picking it up? I think David said he will, but not at launch.
On PC?
Yeah. Okay. PC too, right?
Fuck yeah.
PC
I got this 980 just ready to fuck.
Fair enough. All right. Just want to make sure. And that was essentially the only highlight from EA's conference. They talked about Mirror's Edge a little bit. They showed off some gameplay. It looked cool. I really don't care about Mirror's Edge at all. I don't think most people care about Mirror's Edge either. I think this is one of those things that's a cult hit. People just kind of got loud enough to make EA do another one, and I think it's going to bomb horribly.
Mirror's Edge has a really big cult following, so
I don't.
We'll see.
That's not going to translate to sales, though. I'm really worried. Anyways,
it's not going to get huge numbers, but depending on how well they can market it, they may find some success. But it's going to need to have more to it than just a small single-player campaign that lasts for a few hours.
Agreed. And they also did some FIFA stuff because it's Gamescom in Germany. I mean,
you know what Mirror's Edge is?
Not do FIFA.
A boring version of Portal.
Absolutely.
With no story.
Mirror's Edge has a story. It's just I don't care about it.
Portal's 2 story is so good.
I absolutely do not care about Mirror's
Edge.
That's
60% more bullet per bullet.
And Blizzard, of course, had theirs. But the thing with Blizzard is they wouldn't live stream it at all. They just which boggles my mind. One, come on,
that makes
Blizzard,
no sense.
The fucking time. So it was all.
What fucking year is it?
I had to read it live blog, and nothing really came out during the conference itself. But Blizzard did release some information last week. One was that they released their quarterly report, quarterly investor report, I should say. Let me pop that up right here. And it's a bunch of mumbo-jumbo. Who cares about if they're doing better or worse? But one tidbit that was important is... If I can find it here. Fill time, guys. Oh, I found it. Never mind. Right here.
I ain't here to fill shit.
On July 15th, 2015, Blizzard Entertainment kicked off pre-purchases for Starcraft II Legacy of the Void, the third installment of the company's real-time strategy sequel. Players who pre-purchase Legacy of the Void through Battle.net will have access to the ongoing beta and 3 prologue missions titled Whispers of Oblivion. I was able to get to play those, by the way. They are solid. They should be coming free for everyone else, so don't pre-order it. I have no idea when they'll be free, but from what I hear, they should be free before launch of the game itself for everyone. Anyways, going on. Legacy of the Void will be a standalone product that won't require any prior releases, so it'll be easier than ever players get to the game experience, blah, 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 blah. Very last sentence. It's expected to be released in 2015. Legacy of the Void is coming this year. Keep in mind, they did not say fiscal year 2015. We will have this before the end of December.
Yeah. And Blizzard's pretty good on their word. When they say there's going to be a date out, it's going to happen. Because they usually don't give shit out until they know for a fact it's going to be out that time.
Absolutely. They'll give it out, and they'll be 2 months before it comes out. Another company that likes to do that was Bethesda with the Fallout 4 release date. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because chat apparently is talking about how there was some leaked gameplay footage to Fallout 4. Honestly, I hadn't seen it yet, so I don't have it to talk about. We'll hopefully have it next week. Sorry.
I do want to talk about something on Blizzard today, because I noticed it about an hour before we went on the show. This happened on my Blizzard.net client. The icon for Overwatch actually showed up.
Yeah,
on my list of games.
I noticed that when we played Heroes of the Storm last there, David. What was that? Saturday, Friday?
Yep.
So yeah, it's rolling out for people out there. David, you said you saw the leaked Fallout 4 trailer or footage?
Some of it, if you search hard enough, you can kind of find it. A lot of it's getting pulled really quick because obviously it's stuff that they didn't actually want out.
Right. What did you see before we move on to the next topic?
I don't know. It just looks fucking cool because it's more Fallout, but it's less of just like the trailer scripted and more of dudes running around and shooting stuff, and it actually looks really fucking good. Like I don't know how to talk about it besides just being really excited about Fallout like we already were. So just try and track it down and look at it, because then you'll be way more excited than whatever I can tell you.
YouTube it, and if you see it, watch it right then and there, because it sounds like it's not lasting long on there.
They'll probably actually release some kind of extended gameplay trailer sooner rather than later now that this is out, but it's the kind of thing that they're like, this is some dev or tester or somebody took a bunch of footage and then threw it
Sounds
out
like
there.
someone broke NDA then in that case, and someone somewhere is going to get sued.
Yeah.
The last bit of Gamescom news that we have before we go ahead and get on with new releases and all that is the announcement of World of Warcraft's upcoming expansion. Now, they didn't do this during the Blizzard conference, which makes no sense at all to me whatsoever. They did it the following day. But the new World of Warcraft expansion has been announced. It is going to be called... Not that. Here we go. World of Warcraft Legion. As you can see, Illidan and all of his badass glory standing back there. Sean, you are extremely excited about this one, if I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's my problem.
Some details
before
you get into it. New hero class with new classes, Demon Hunter, Broken Isles is new continent, artifacts, which are going to be super high-end weapons that you can customize, level cap raised to 110.
Yeah, and before also goes on a rant before he's not going to play this game because he's tired of World of Warcraft. So my thing with World of Warcraft is like, I was on a low point a few years back when Pandora came out. And then like Warlords came out, I was like...
Mr. Pandora, cool. Right? Not the radio station.
Yeah, Mr. Pandora was like terrible. And then I was like, cool, Warlords looks awesome. I played Warlords and I was like, the leveling was really fun. Now there's nothing to do late game, so... Alright, they kind of did good on me. They want me back
awesome
a little bit. It was fun.
By the way.
Exactly. Really good way to reboot the franchise again, give it more life. And I was there's no real... Yeah, exactly. It was better than Cataclysm. There's no real end game, though. At least Cataclysm had end game. Like, you could keep playing it. For me, I leveled, and I was like, kind of done. Now, it's like, well, fuck, you're bringing back my favorite character. You're making a baller-ass class, which, by the way, they said they weren't going to make any more hero classes. Apparently, they lied. And, like, you're dealing with the Burning Legion again. So now it's, like, the best enemy of the universe with the coolest character of the universe, who's probably going to end up being good in some way. Like, I feel like he's not going to be the bad guy of this franchise, like the storyline.
The bad guy of this franchise. This is going to be his redemption story. That's what this is going to be.
Which means he's going to die in a badass way, which makes me want to play the game so I can see Illidan die in a badass way.
Illidan
so now
is
I'm going to play it again.
Kerrigan.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, because that actually helps me. All I know about that guy is that I hate him because I play Heroes of the Storm.
You got nerfed, motherfucker. Get over it.
A dick.
He's still really good.
Are you not boned up on the lore to World of Warcraft there, David?
He doesn't play World of Warcraft.
Fair enough. Or even Warcraft 3 or anything like that. Okay, all you need to know is that Illidan is the anti-hero that was willing to go to any lengths required to do what needed to be done. Pissed a lot of people off, was the bad guy in one of the expansions, the second one.
The best expansion. One of the best ones.
You killed him in that, and Blizzard straight up said, yeah, that was a mistake to let you guys kill him. So they found a way to bring him back.
Excellent. The only war franchise I know anything about ends in Hammer.
Very shortly after they did that, they actually patched the game, and so even at the fight, they actually, I believe her name is Maeve. I can't remember. I'm sure Elster will correct me. Okay, she actually captures him at the end of the fight and puts him in fucking Demon Reach or whatever.
If you read the site that I had up, if you read the lore on there, because they show the characters they're featuring in this expansion, and she's the very first one they have on there. Apparently, she took his body back and put his body into like a prison, so that way his soul, which would still be connected to it, would suffer for eternity in chains.
Nice. I had a Dresden Files reference. Just putting that out there.
Maev's in there. Sylvanas Windrunner is going to be a big character in this expansion again. She's the leader of the Forsaken, David, the undead people.
Obviously, Gul'dan.
The younger of the Wind brother, the younger of the Winds, the kid that became the priest, Alduin, is that his name?
Yep.
And one of the stairs, Zuvius, Zebzo.
See, I got a vague idea who you're talking about just because of Heroes of the Storm and Hearthstone.
Fair enough. As a side tangent, I think that's one of the reasons why I like Hero of the Storm so much is because I can look at a character and never playing him and go, oh, okay, that's fucking Illidan. He's going to be a close combat DPS. I need to stay away from him. Oh, this is Arthas. Okay, he's probably going to be kind of tanky. Like, I can associate who they are better because I know the lore to all the Blizzard properties.
Definitely helps.
But anyways, yeah, that was essentially the Gamescom news, and that was the big stuff that happened last weekend. So we're going to go ahead and move right on into new releases for this week. And there's really only one worth of note, and that's everyone's gone to the Rapture for the PlayStation 4. This is
a trailer for this?
I don't have the trailer for this, unfortunately. I wish I did.
Okay.
Why do you ask?
This game actually looks really fucking cool.
It is. It's from the Chinese Room. These are the guys who did Dear Esther on Steam. And it's exactly what it sounds like. You're someone exploring the world after everyone got raptured.
Yeah. It's like a adventure puzzly game, but the atmosphere, I think, is what's really selling it for me, looking at it. I mean, obviously they did Dear Esther, so they have an idea of how to kind of make good ambiance. But the music in the game is phenomenal. The way the set pieces are designed. I'm assuming it's going to be fun, just based on their other work.
I want to take a look at it. I don't buy this expecting some kind of Bioshocky first-person shootery fun stuff. This is going to be about you alone in the world exploring.
This is a very distinct type of game. If you're not into adventure exploration games, this is not at all going to be for you.
I would say if you like stuff like Gone Home or Dear Esther or Unfinished Swan,
Vanishing Ethan Carter,
Journey or Vanishing of Ethan Carter,
Seventh Guest,
System Shock 2.
What? But yeah, that's of course you have your whole bevy of stuff coming out on Steam, all the Greenlight projects, things like that. We don't care about those. This is the only thing of major note. And we're also going to start getting the fall/winter flood of games here very soon. So take this time to look at the small stuff while you can, because you're not going to have much more time before all the big stuff hits. And that's it for new releases, which brings us to the final segment of the show, eSports. Now, Sean, before we get into some LoL stuff, I want to announce that Evil Geniuses won.
Wait, hold on. You're doing this all wrong.
You
dick.
Okay.
We have to talk about the International Invitational.
That is literally what I was about to talk about.
Yeah. But you're doing it wrong. Because the most important thing developed over the course of this esports gaming weekend, and that is 3 letters. USA! USA!
There was a chant toward the end there. No one really knows why. But yes.
Because Evil Geniuses happens to be the North American team in Dota 2, and they did take home the prize.
Yeah, in a 3-1 victory over CDEC. So congratulations, Evil Geniuses. You earned it. But what I found more entertaining than Evil Geniuses winning was that Valve showed off a new Dota mode. And if you thought MOBAs were clusterfucky before, you haven't seen it yet until you see a 10v10 map. And this is going to get folded into eventually a 12v12 MOBA mode.
That's stupid.
It is stupid. You can't see anything. It's just a clusterfuck of sparkles and flares and shit happening on the screen, like as if J.J. Abrams and Jerry Bruckheimer fucked, and this is the game that resulted.
It's just Johnny Depp explodes.
That's pretty good.
It was... You can find links to it online. I'll post something down below on the YouTube chat if you're watching us on YouTube later. But holy hell, it's just... your frame rate can't survive that. Period.
Clusterfuck shenanigans.
Your frame rate can't survive that.
No, your frame rate can't survive that. Trust me.
This whole court's frame rate can't survive that.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, no problem.
And that does it for Dota. Like, so none of us are really big fans, but I just wanted to mention Evil Geniuses won the I keep wanting to call it the Invitational. It's the International.
The important note, though, is that Evil Genius won, yes, but winning the Dota 2 championships mean that they just got paid what Yu Suzuki did for Shenmue 3 Kickstarter.
Yeah, I want to say the final purse to TI was like $18 million.
$18 million.
With first place getting like $6.7 million. It is a huge fucking payout.
Yeah, with 5-man
so
team.
I just want to bring up something again that I've kind of talked about earlier. The winners of a game, Dota 2, made 3 times the amount of the winners of the Women's FIFA Cup.
Damn,
FIFA, you
that's
corrupted
harsh.
bastards.
Perhaps they should crowdfund FIFA.
It wouldn't be
Hey,
as
FIFA.
corrupted.
Fat Nerds is making more than your women's team. You fucking up.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to League here. Sean, why don't you break down what happened in the North American LCS?
FIFA Women's Cup World 2 money, by the way, to answer your question. So, North American LCS. TIP actually is going to move on to play against, can't remember right now. CLG, excuse me, sorry. CLG is on the Southern bracket. So, this game series is going to be really interesting. TIP has been on a massive win streak the latter half of the season after the second round robin. I'm curious to see if CLG can actually play well against them. CLG is really famous for playing well in the regular season and just doing nothing in the playoffs. Monte Crystal likes to call them cupcakes with razor blades in them because they look delicious, and you're like, damn, like I really want that cupcake. And you bite into it, and you just start bleeding everywhere because there's a razor blade in it.
It just makes it better.
Because it looks so good, but on the inside, they're just so terrible. So I am kind of pulling for CLG because I want to see them break this habit they have of doing terrible in the playoffs. But so Double Lift has been their AD carry since like season 1. Now you kind of have to blame him for everything because he's the only remaining member of the original CLG, and they're still like this. So he's kind of the main carry. So it has to be his fault.
He's kind of like how we look at Guns N' Roses these days. We don't blame Slash or anyone for how bad they are. We blame the last remaining member.
Yeah, Axl Rose. You fucking up. So Double F is the Axl Rose of CLG. Like if they don't win, like his legacy is just tarnished. Like this is his last chance to redeem himself. Period. The other matchup is TSM beat Gravity Games. Great Gaming. Which I kind of saw coming. TSM does really well in best of fives. They kind of become clutch in playoffs. They're the opposite of CLG. They play decent in the regular season, pretty well in the regular season, and then playoffs happen. They play pretty damn well in domestic tournaments. They're terrible at international. However, I don't know if they'll be able to beat TL. I think TL is going to win the season. TL has by far the best individual talent in the game. Their just team play isn't there yet. But TSM shot calling has been really fucking bad lately. So I don't think they can beat TL just on an individual matchup. I think TL will dominate them in the early game. The meta right now, as of 5.15, which just came out a few weeks ago, and it's hitting the tournament realms, is very early game oriented. So you're seeing Lee Sin again, you're seeing Vayne again, Kog'Maw game, which are late game champions, but they feed off the early game pressure of everyone else. So you're seeing teams play for the early game a lot more. Lucian's becoming a pick again. Sivir's falling out of meta. So I think this is TL's time to shine because their high mechanics will actually win them games. Now they can win in the first 15 minutes and carry over to the later game. So I do love Dyrus, like Chat's talking about.
He's Chat has a mini chanting going on for Dyrus in there.
Yeah, I like Dyrus. He's like the original member of TSM that's still left. So I got a place for him in my heart. He's one of my favorite top laners in North America. But I think TL will put them in their place. I think Piglet will go back to Worlds. And it'll be fun to see Piglet play against SKT if they end up playing each other. I think that'd be really cool. Him playing against his forward team, who he won Worlds with. So I really want to see TL go to Worlds so we can see that storyline happen. And I think they will. The EULCS H2K handled business when they played who was it they played? They played actually I have it right here, I can just look. Sorry about this.
No problem.
Giants. I couldn't think of their name. They played Giants Gaming. Handled them in the 3-0 series. I actually watched the series today. That's why I was so upset that I couldn't remember the team they played. Ryu, Korean mid laner, known best for getting destroyed by Faker, handled this game. Broke out like he's like the sleeping giant. During the regular season, he plays way below average. But when playoffs happen, that dude's like, I'm going to Worlds. Like, I'm not going to let what happened to me when I played against SKT happen again. I'm going to Worlds. So he played Ahri and went like 7-0-0 against Giants, and they didn't even get a single kill.
He went 8-0-5.
8-0-5. Yeah, disgusting.
Yeah. Doing work.
Yeah. On an assassin champ, that's insane because you're usually diving the backline if you're that ahead because you can just burst anyone you want to, and you'll usually get 2 kills for 1 kill and sacrifice yourself once you get that fed on an assassin champ like Ari. Insane that he didn't die.
You got to be devoted to getting that kill.
Because this is a quarterfinal match, right? Like you're looking quarterfinal. That's pretty high up the fucking totem pole. And in game 1, they aced Giants like. As in, Giants did not score a single kill.
Yeah,
against HGA.
They almost perfect gained them actually. So that was really close.
Fair enough. How about across the pond?
So now across the pond, we're talking about your priority, homie.
Yeah, dude, we're already across the pond.
Yeah.
Pond, you talking
about? Other game in
I'm
EU.
Sorry, I know nothing about League of Legends, so I thought we were still talking about North America. My apologies.
No, dude, we're about to talk about your boys.
I kept waiting for him to mention Unicorns of Love.
So we're about to talk about Steven's favorite team, Unicorns of Love.
He just loves these guys, really.
No,
happened to play Rocat today in a series in which Unicorns of Love won the first 2 games in best of 5 series, which usually means good luck. However, Rocat won the last 2 games of the series, pushing to game 5. Steven's going to be really happy because his favorite team, Unicorns of Love, won. So they haven't moving on.
However, they are going up against Fnatic, though, right?
Yes.
And this should be the extent of what we hear from them.
Yeah. So if you don't know, Fnatic went 18-0, the first LCS team on both LCS to go undefeated. One of 2 teams in any league history to ever go undefeated. The other one being SKT. After SKT won Worlds, so that's kind of a big deal.
This isn't per round. This is 18 straight games.
They won 18 straight games because they play best of 1s in LCS still for some reason. I really think Fnatic is going to go 24-0 this season. I don't think they'll drop a game. So predictions for next week. Spoiler alert: I'm pretty sure Fnatic's going to 3-0 Unicorns of Love. The Origin game versus HU game is pretty interesting to me. I don't think Cheese can beat Fnatic, by the way. Jay Swims brings them in chats. I think they're too well coached and too well behaved to let that happen now. They're a lot more defined than last season because they had 3 rookies last season. They're much more on top of their game now. The other series, though, Origin versus HUK is really interesting. Origin's got a lot of experience on that team with Expeke in the mid lane. Really good shot calling, but they fall short on talent in the jungle and support. HUK falls short on talent in laning phase. So it's going to be a really interesting way to see this game. If HUK can last past 20 minutes, I think they'll win in each game. Origin really has some... XPK has to really step up in the mid lane because Ryu is playing out of his mind right now, just watching the last series. So... It's a battle between 2 really known mid laners. I think whoever wins the mid lane is going to win the game, to be honest. So I think we're going to see XPK's TF and Kassadin against Ryu's TF and Ari a lot. Both of them are decent Victor players, not the best, which is really disappointing because Victor's really strong right now. So they're both. I think we're going to see a lot more pocket picks in this game, a lot more picks that players tend to play that aren't meta, but they're really good at. I think you'll see a lot of that in the series.
Picks and counter picks are going to be really important for this series.
I think it's going to be more of last picking mid lane and hoping they're not prepared for something they have Seeker right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to touch on before we get to the other news, or is that round out the EU?
Not really. And I'm kind of skipping an order here, but I want to talk about LPL's system right now because LPL is starting playoffs this week, but LPL has a really convoluted system of how it's going to go, and LPL is just in general is insane.
I will link brackets in the description below on YouTube. I will link the page to the brackets, I should say, not the entire bracket.
So the way Korea works is they run a gauntlet system, which is basically top 6 teams go, 6 and 5 play each other, whenever that plays seed 4, whenever that plays seed 3, whenever that plays seed 2, whenever that plays seed 1.
And I like that, by the way.
It's awesome because the season is so long in those regions that it works out. Like, if you won the season, you first seed, you deserve it.
Yeah, it rewards people who did very well during the regular season.
Yes. Now, the way LPL is doing it, because China is always weird when they have to do something different. So they're like, screw it. Let's take both formats into consideration. So what's happening is 8 teams make the playoffs. The bottom 4 teams are in a gauntlet system. So what happens is Masters 3 and OMG, who are 8 and 7, play each other. Whoever wins that plays
6, and then whoever
Gaming.
wins that plays 5.
Whoever wins that plays LDG Gaming, who has Imp and Flame on there, very famous Korean players on there. And now whoever goes into that stage or wins that stage will the 2 teams that go into that stage go into a bracket stage where the top 4 seeds are already waiting for them. So then basically the winner of that last match will become the 5th seed and loser will become the 6th seed. They advance to the bracket stage. The 5th seed will play Snake. The 6th seed will play Invictus Gaming in a bracket. The winner of those will play the 1 and 2 seeds who have buys in the bracket stage, who are Edward Gaming and Kiaoju Gaming. So it's so convoluted that
is pretty clusterfucky. I will say this, however. What a story it would be if the 8th seed was able to go all the way and win the entire thing, because that's a lot of shit they have to get through.
If the 8th seed went... Okay, here's the thing, though. The 2 bottom seeds in this tournament are fucking stacked with talent. Like, Dade is on M3. Dade was the MVP of the Korean League last year. That's insane. OMG is a really historical Chinese team who has Uzi on it right now, Uzi I, who's just like this godly AD carry when he gets the Worlds. He's kind of average during the normal season, but he goes Super Saiyan in Worlds for some reason. And like you have Cool on that team and Going, really good mid laners and top laners, but they're 8 and 6. And so it could happen. Like it could happen. It's like they just what happened was Dade, the mid laner from M3.
It's not outside the realm of possibility. It's not like some sports analogy where a really weak team goes all the way. They're all good people.
Yeah, and the problem
think of anything that would actually fit in that description.
A lot of Korean players went to China this season because China was just like, here's $500,000 to play in China, and no one else could dish out the money. So Dade, I think, actually it's known pretty much at this point, took the money. He got paid like the highest salary ever in esports gaming history, and was like, all right, so I don't have to care anymore. I've already got 2nd place in Worlds, basically. People know I was a baller last year. So I'm going to take it easy and kind of retire on this fat check I just made. So he got paid and just basically is now relaxing, still playing professionally at a half-assed level. So
he's like, I made my money. Why do I fucking go?
Yeah, you get these great players on teams that are like subpar because they just don't care anymore, which is kind of disappointing because you want to see the best players play at their highest level.
Well, not only that, but it's a lack of professionalism too. If you don't care, just fucking leave the goddamn sport.
Yeah, well, he's getting paid a ridiculous amount. So,
but that's also up to the team owners and managers to sort that shit out too.
Yep. Yeah.
So I can't hold them 100% responsible for that.
The LPL is going to last forever, and it's really convoluted.
It's going to last until Worlds.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. It's going to be LDG versus EDG in the finals, and LDG is going to win 3-2.
Do you think that we'll ever see a 100% standardized format against all of them, or is it one of those cases where there's just so much shit in China that it just makes it unrealistic?
No, because Riot's already kind of getting there. Because Riot, so basically each of these leagues had their own kind of streaming last year, and then Riot made it basically one thing. And this year they made circuit points one thing, back when leagues had their own kind of circuit points for Worlds. I think the next step is you will see every league be like Korea's league right now, where it's double round robin, best of 3 matches in the regular season. And then they play a gauntlet-style tournament, which gauntlet-style tournament is the 5 versus 6. Whoever wins that plays 4, whoever wins that plays 3, whoever wins that plays 2, whoever plays 1.
So in about, say, 3-4 years, you'll see it just standardized across the world?
I think it'll be next year.
You think it'll be next year? Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add to the LPL, or should we go ahead and talk about their big move they got coming up?
If you want to see some great games, when it gets to the bracket stage, watch LPL. They slack off. They actually slack off and play whatever the fuck they feel like during the regular season. But during the quarterfinals, these teams are stacked. Like, they paid the money to get these green players. EDG is an amazing team. LDG is really good. So watch the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals of PL if you want to see some really quality League of Legends play.
Fair enough. Moving on to the final bit of eSports news that we have. Sean, tell us about Riot's move to Chicago.
Yeah, so actually this is kind of big. Riot is actually moving their servers to Chicago from the West Coast.
Portland,
which is good.
I believe.
Yeah. It is now. LA, Portland. Basically, what's
they're
happening
moving
is
the Portland server farms, though, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, but it's very weird. Everything, basically, all their servers are going to Chicago. So what's happening is they're reducing. Doing this is going to basically increase West Coast pings by only 15 milliseconds, and reducing the East Coast pings by 50 milliseconds. So it's going to level out the entire U.S.
Yeah, not just U.S., but Canada as well, because Chicago is such a big fucking internet hub that it's also the gateway for where a lot of the Canadian traffic comes in through as well.
Yeah, so we're going to get North America as a general is going to be on average around 75 ping, which for West Coast they're going to bitch about it, but for 80% of the rest of North America is happy.
It's way better.
And from going to the West Coast where I used to live, having 30 ping, to where I live now with 120 ping, that's a huge difference.
It's noticeable.
Yeah. So now everyone's going to be on the same playing field at least, except for, people in Chicago, of course. But, someone's always going to be better than whatever.
You will, until we reach a point where time is not, or distance travel information isn't an issue, which will be us breaking the laws of relativity at that point, there will always be someone who has a slight advantage in lag. Always. Not
completely true in Korea, because pretty much everyone in Korea has less than 8 ping.
Yes, and if you play against someone in Korea to America, you'll have higher ping. There's always going to be something there based on location.
It's because their infrastructure on the internet's actually better there. So the way it works is their servers just sit in the central area, and everyone in Korea has 8 or less ping, period. The entire country.
I do know our U.S. internet infrastructure is kind of a joke, though, too. So
yeah, our internet here is terrible.
To be fair,
but better in some places.
We're really fucking big. We have really goddamn big.
Not just big, but we have a lot of dead space in America, too, where just no one lives.
Yeah.
Like, that whole stretch from, like, I want to say it's something close to 80% of the population lives within 2 hours of a coast.
I'm pretty sure
which
from
means
Nevada
that entire
to Tennessee, there's just nothing there, right?
It's called flyover territory for a reason.
Just nothing. Not a single thing.
So we have to deal with all that shit, and it is just flat out not profitable to build a massive data server farm in Topeka, Kansas.
Mm-hmm. It's just like New Mexico. All we do there is throw old cow skulls.
You're absolutely right. We are significantly larger than the rest of the country. Even Russia might have better internet than us in some cases, because all their population lives in one location. That chunk that is known as Siberia, no one lives there.
The amount of crazy shit they do, I really doubt their internet's better than ours.
Fair enough. Sean, when is this move happening?
So they're testing the servers tomorrow night. So actually, today technically for the East Coast, between 6 a.m. and 12 p.m. Pacific time. So if you will be like it's picking from random games. So if you notice your ping on the East Coast a little bit better, or on the West Coast a little bit worse, you're playing on the Chicago server and testing it out for them.
I guess that's designed to keep people from trying to flood the test servers in advance. Correct. Any word on when the whole shebang will get moved over? Do we have a timetable at all?
No.
They're going to probably test and stress test severely for a while. So
fair enough.
I wouldn't expect it, before a month or even.
Well, it's a massive operation. Probably taking a look at like 6 months, if you ask me.
It'll be way sooner than that.
Huge.
Way sooner than that.
Okay, unless I already have everything set up and they're just doing the fine tuning at this point.
Yeah, the servers are up and running.
Oh, okay. So yeah, they're just fine tuning at this point. All right. Anything else we should add, guys, before we wrap it up, or is that going to do it today?
I think I'm going to end this show how I started this show.
Just angry and disappointed.
Konami?
Fair enough.
Go fuck yourselves.
Sean, any final words?
Made of bigger rigs. They've been set on fire and put in your urethra.
David made me mad.
Fair enough. Well, this has been Game Points. Thanks for watching. If you're watching us live on Twitch, thank you for participating in the chat. We are here every Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're watching us on our YouTube channel, you can just type in Game Points, one word, PC. We pop right up. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Give us a like, subscribe, all that stuff. Also follow us on Twitch as well. We'd appreciate it. You can follow us on Twitter at GamePointsPC. You can email the show at GamePointsPC@gmail.com for any questions, comments, concerns you might have, any tips, or just want to say hey. You can give us a like at Facebook at GamePoints Podcast. Type that in, we also pop right up. I have been your host, Stephen Brown. As always, you can follow me at CapitalistPig21 down there on Twitter. You can follow Sean Brown, our eSports correspondent, at Vidisco_Keen, despite what the name there says. And you can follow the person across from him, David Smith, at Palshife_Satori. Don't bother, though, because he really doesn't check Twitter. Once again, thanks for joining us live. We will see you next week at Monday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we are out of here.